Welcome to another episode of Bringing Down the Grindhouse, and today we're going to be talking about Love, Death, and Robots and Black Mirror. How's it going, John?
It's going well. I rewatched some of the Black Mirror episodes, and then I watched the newest season. I binge watched all of them yesterday.
Gotta introduce Eddie.
We'll get into it.
It's okay.
Well,
I'm always that kid that get excluded out of everything. I was always raised
See, now
to...
I can't cut this.
No, can't cut it now. No. So, tell us about your exclusionary past. We just shamed John for a little bit
Right,
for forgetting
just
you.
a little bit. I didn't forget him. We were getting to it.
I came from the school of wayward boys where you're supposed to be seen but never heard.
Interesting.
Yes.
I didn't know that existed.
It totally exists.
What school did you go to?
I just said the school of wayward boys.
Oh, it's called the School of Wayward Boys.
Was it actually literally called?
I thought it had like an academy name or something.
Wait. Is that actually what the school's called?
Yes.
Wow. Oh, okay. Wow. Okay. I thought I think me and John were both like that. Just sounds like a funny joke you're saying, like a metaphor, or
some sort of joke.
Yeah, but no.
I actually call it Boy Scouts.
Oh, they're actually called Boy
Oh,
Scouts.
fuck.
Oh, fuck.
Now the joke's really honest.
Now we know.
Yeah.
Now we know.
I mean, I was almost an Eagle Scout, so does that count?
Yeah.
I quit after I realized that like some of the troop leaders were a little creepy. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't really want to do this anymore.
Once I got into Weeblos, I just kind of cut it off from there.
What level is that? Is that like the third?
That's right after bears. Because you start off as tigers, then wolves, and then...
Okay.
No, wait, there's also eagles.
Yeah.
So
There's
eagles
no lions, so lions, tigers, bears.
Oh my.
Yeah, there's none of that. None of that.
I think no.
How much
I
influence did
distinctly
the Wizard of
remember
Oz have on?
I distinctly remember being a wolf, and then I think I stopped there.
I thought being a wolf was cool, but
Right, because you have the cool little like logo on your handkerchief when you put it around your neck.
people
But then it
just think wolves
changes.
are cool.
Then it changes to like a piece of corn, and you're like, I don't know how I feel about this. Well, it's corn on the cob, I think. Isn't it? Isn't the Weeblos one that?
No, it's an arrow.
Oh wait, I'm thinking of another one. Shit, I don't know. Don't mind me. I was just very disappointed I couldn't be a Girl Scout. With the teal outfit because it's like my
And all the
favorite color.
Cookies, dude.
Like, why don't we get a chance to sell cookies?
Yeah, I want to bake some cookies. Like,
A
what's wrong with
pothead's
that?
best friend.
That's all. That's like, who doesn't like to bake baked goods? That's like,
I love the story of the Girl Scout who just set up shop right in front of a weed dispensary.
oh,
and
that's
just
such a
made
smart
bank.
idea.
And
Hell
they're
yeah.
like coming out. They're like, oh shit, because they already got
Right.
cash on them.
Yeah,
So
right. They
were
already
like,
got their 5 back for the 40 they dumped into the thing.
So that was genius
Yes.
to do that. So I was like, oh hell yeah.
That's the capitalists America deserves. That's like,
That's Wolf of Wall Street right there.
That's real.
Sell me this pen.
That's great. Speaking of capitalism, how about those Black Mirror episodes?
holy shit.
Okay, did you guys watch the newest season?
I did.
I did not see the newest
Okay.
season, unfortunately, but I did watch Bandersnatch, which I know we wanted to talk about today
Yes.
a little bit.
Bandersnatch is interesting because it has so many different routes that the
Yeah.
story may have unfolded differently for you. So when you watch Bandersnatch, how did it unfold for you? Like, what happened?
I fucked up multiple times.
So you we redid it.
I had to, he had to restart. Like, I think that dude had to restart his life 3 times when I watched it.
Okay.
He restarted his life 3 times and ended up in prison on the very last one.
Yes, I got to that one as well.
Yeah.
I
That
don't
was
think
the
I
one
got-
that I
ever
got
got
to
to
the
the
first
prison
time.
one.
Which one?
I don't think I ever got to the prison
What was the
one.
ending you did get to, if you did end it?
I had the multiple endings where he just failed, but he was able to complete his game, and it was always game reviewed, but it was always like the game was well received or poorly received, depending on the outcome of how he finished the game.
Did you
pretty
guys find the ending where he finishes the game, he goes to jail, and then his friend's daughter, the little baby that you see in that friend's apartment, she recreates the video game.
Oh yeah,
That's one
What?
of the endings you can get.
but
That's a
it's
weird
like
one.
30 years from now.
Yeah, it's like way past those events, and then it's the daughter who ends up remaking
Does
the
your
game.
cereal choice like alter your path? If I chose this sugary
Yes.
cereal, it fucks up everything.
Yeah. No, that's real.
or your choice of music.
Right. Choice of music, the cereal, whether or not you jump off the balcony.
I always like that one
Yeah, that was fucked up.
because
Wow,
you
I
can
didn't realize it was
choose.
that in
It's
depth.
either him or his coworker, pretty much.
The way I got to that ending was his friend jumped off the balcony, and then everyone was wondering where he was at. And then the girlfriend comes over, and you have to like lie to her. And then the phone call comes in, and you have to put in the numbers. And so I put in the numbers, and then it took me to some alternate route. It's way too involved. That single episode will take up like 4 or 5 hours of your day.
If you want to do all of it.
Yeah. If you want to like try to find all of them. If you're really like into it and want to know every single ending, people have broken it down online. You can go to like.
It was a good bedtime watch for me.
You were watching it right before bed?
Yeah. So I was just like, I really got engrossed in just like, how should I just play this whole thing out? And I feel like when you're doing like movies or shows, it's different from like how you're doing video games or novels.
Yes.
Because in a movie or TV show, you can't really choose the outcome.
No.
And in this one, you had that option and choice. And with like games like, say, RPGs or do your own adventure books, you have that option and choice.
Do your own adventure or choose your own adventure kind of books were really all the craze when we were younger. And like,
I remember Goosebumps did those.
Yeah, Goosebumps did a few of them. There was a few others that got released. This is when like Barnes and Noble was like in its heyday, and like people loved going there because it was the only like big bookstore you can find before they were like starting to decline. But you know what? They're gonna add alcohol to their store, so they might revive. Seriously, they're gonna start serving it in their cafes.
McDonald's?
No, Barnes and Noble.
No, Barnes and Noble's gonna start serving alcohol. Oh my god!
He brings up McDonald's because we just passed a McDonald's earlier.
Well, apparently McDonald's in other countries serves beer. And we just don't do it here in the United States for good reason.
Now we do.
As being like the number one alcoholic consumers.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't help that the government kind of set us up to be alcoholics. So.
Because alcohol and guns mix well.
Right. Exactly. But so what I was thinking about for that particular episode though was this is so engrossing for people who are watching it, who were kind of just sitting in front of the TV and letting things unfold. It brought you in to participate with what was going on. So it's a cool modern version of Choose Your Own Adventures that isn't like a video game. And so like you had like those 80s video games where you were able to choose your own route, and it kind of brought up, it's essentially the game he made in the episode. You were able to play some of those games. And then since then they haven't been that popular. So for them to do something so successfully was definitely like worth it for Netflix.
I remember there was like a VHS game with Clue.
Oh, yeah. Dang.
Yeah, so that's going way back.
Do you still have that?
No. That was like a game I played in my like special ed class.
Oh, gotcha.
That was one I remember playing because my teacher was really big into Clue.
Okay.
And that's how I was also introduced to the Clue movie.
Yeah, that's such an odd movie.
I never watched that movie. I never watched Clue.
I feel like if you ever need to watch a movie that's based on a game, watch Clue.
Right.
Or like Silent Hill or the new Pikachu, but that's different in every scenario. Let's see, there was another game I remembered. There was like, what was that video game called, Bachelorette Party or something, where you're a bunch of girls and you get like stalked by a serial killer in a game, and it made a really big deal.
I'm not sure, but it sounds very 80s.
It is.
Yeah, really. Like, that sounds very much like a scenario.
But it was shot live action, pretty much.
Oh.
You would play like some of the girls in the game.
Huh. I'm not sure.
Was it kind of like the like there's the hunter and then the 4 players that are trying to survive the hunter?
Yeah, like Until Dawn.
So like, yeah, exactly. Or like what was the other one? Left 4 Dead did it kind of.
Yep.
Did that same idea. You play as the zombies or you play as the heroes.
Playing as the zombies was amazing.
Yeah, it was just having that option is there.
Yeah.
And it's super great. It's great to like.
I'm surprised no one else has like copied that and sort of tried to improve on it.
Kind of like it's like Evolve also. Evolve is also like that. Where you have one big thing versus a group of little guys.
Yep.
Friday the 13th game. It sounds like that too.
Friday the 13th game is fun
game.
only when you're Jason because he's so overpowered.
Yeah. And so you just murder every
no one can
person.
escape really unless you get super lucky with someone occupying their time. You might be able to escape if like they take forever to kill someone, which is usually what people do. Because
isn't there going to be like a Halloween game kind of like that?
Yeah, they want to make one with Michael Myers.
Yeah,
it'll be interesting where he's just like
Rocket.
unstoppable. I wanted to see the movie. I want to see a movie with Michael Myers and Jason going up against each other because they already have Freddy versus Jason. So why not just do Michael Myers versus
Or
Jason.
they also had the idea of Pinhead versus Michael Myers.
That too. Although I don't know how that would sort of play out because Pinhead he isn't really like a fighting kind of dude. He sort of
Neither is like Freddy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's why it was weird. Well, actually, no. Freddy fights in Freddy vs. Jason.
Yeah, but that was the only time you can.
That's the only time, though. Yeah.
Yeah, but then there was a sequel comic with Ash Williams from Evil Dead.
Oh fuck.
It was like Jason versus Freddy versus Ash or Evil Dead.
Okay.
Which is a comic book I'm still looking for because it's a very rare.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's like horror comics are kind of hard to find.
Yeah, that's fair. Usually you have to go to like specialty places.
I mean, just think about us just trying to find that Hitachi Hino.
Yeah.
But like comic was a pain in the ass.
We found like a translated version too.
Yeah, we didn't even find like an official like version of it. We had to find like a translation in order to and like a scan translation of it in order for it to even work.
Who's Hitachi Hino?
He was a manga artist, and he did we did an episode on Mermaid in a Manhole.
Okay.
And he adapted.
Yeah.
He directed it and starred in it, and he also wrote the manga that movie's based off of.
This is baby.
Yeah, exactly. And he basically we reviewed his Panorama of Hell, which was like an autobiography of his. And it was pretty interesting. He basically just makes horror manga. His horrors, his whole entire
so very
thing.
much like Junji Ito, who kind of like
Junji Ito's one. I don't know if we talked about him as much. I think it's because we were doing like a film. We were doing like a film and manga relation because the man that because Hino directed Mermaid in a Manhole and Flowers of Flesh and Blood, which we were both talking about. So we talked about his manga work and whatnot, which is why we can talk about. I would be down to do a Junji Ito.
Yeah, I'm
he's
sure
been a popular artist lately. Like
absolutely.
Like Uzumaki is like his most popular out of his work, with the spirals and the existentialism in this little town, which was kind of big. And I don't know, he's seemed to blow up lately. Like his popularity.
Yeah, manga's just exploding mainstream wise.
Right.
Lately, though. It's getting huge.
Well, people are just starting to get they're starting to know the real stories that are in these books, and they're really good. They've just been ignored for so long by the United States, where like everyone else was like already into it. So they're like, you're kind of late on the game.
It's like a generational thing, I think. Too.
Yeah, I think people are just a little bit more open to it. But okay, so
TikTok.
So with Black Mirror, I know you guys have favorite episodes. So I'll start with Eddie. What were your favorite episodes from like the whole Black Mirror series?
To be honest, I've watched very little Black Mirror, so the only ones I can kind of go off of with Black Mirror is the one with Kurt Russell's kid, where he's stuck in Europe while backpacking and has to get some extra cash to get out of the country.
Oh, yeah. So when he goes to try out the video game, he's like a tester.
that was my favorite one. And the first two episodes of the new season are my favorites. And Bandersnatch, pretty much.
Okay.
And USS Callister.
It's like a weird Star Trek
knockoff. But it's not. It's more of like a man-child taking control of his own world, pretty much, where he's playing God, pretty much.
Yeah.
So, those are my favorites. I'm still have yet to go through the rest of the Black Mirror series. I did see the pig fucker episode, which was like that's
like their first one. That's like the first episode they came out the gate with. They're like, check this series out.
Yeah, seriously, like, whoa.
How do you start and open your series? Let's have like the prime minister fuck a pig so they can save the princess, pretty much, which is like okay, but. Fine. That's how you want to start your first episode.
I was ecstatic over it.
I got the message of it for sure. It's the whole like media and perception of the masses, pretty much.
Let's talk about that one episode where he goes and tries out the video game.
Oh yeah.
So if I remember it right, he's like you mentioned, he's stuck. And he's trying to get some cash. So there's an ad that shows up like, hey, you want to try this video game out? We'll give you however much money.
Yeah, this girl that he's like crashing with.
That's right. She suggests it.
Yeah, and he goes to the game developing company and they have like this virtual simulation. I also feel like Black Mirror kind of interconnects itself with some of its tech. Like I've noticed on each of the their lobes that they wear is like kind of like the same little button.
Yeah, so I think the creators of the show have pretty much like made it clear that all of their episodes exist in one world. So like the world of Black Mirror is like a future setting that can include all of these stories, and so they use the same technology throughout a few of them. I think the best explanation of that is the museum episode, which is like season 3, I think 3 or 4.
Interconnects every part of the
everything
series.
up until that point. Like specific items from the episode show up in that museum, and so that's when people knew for sure that all the episodes were connected. So it's definitely worth a watch for that one. Let me see if I can find the name of that one.
So I don't keep calling it the Kurt Russell's son episode.
Well, that one,
because that is Kurt Russell's son, and he was like an overlord. If anybody's seen that movie.
Which movie?
The newest one that came out, right? Like the Nazi one?
Yeah, where the Nazis are zombies. It's like Reanimator meets Wolfenstein is what I call it.
I've not seen that. No.
Dude, you gotta watch it. It's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, people thought it was gonna be like a Cloverfield tie-in movie, but not this one. And because I think earlier that year there was Cloverfield Paradox as well, where they open up a portal where the Cloverfield monster from the very first movie comes out. So, but I don't know. It was just fine as a standalone movie, I would say. Just
Overlord
you don't have
was amazing. I would definitely suggest people go and watch it. If you like Nazis getting fucking killed and zombies, you have enough there to watch that movie. Because it's one of those films where they insert a story into a piece of history. And in this case, it was like literally World War II when they're dealing with the Nazis. And like it just starts off and does not let up the whole time you're watching it. Like the first scene in, they're on a plane that gets downed, and so like they get you get a shot of the guy falling through the sky into the water and then crawling out to find like his other squad mates, and then they find their way over to this like castle looking place where they're doing experiments on people, which is really them just testing out whether or not they can make zombies. And then they make zombie Nazis,
or just make super soldiers,
right?
Like they're more fucked up versions of Captain America.
It's legit. It's a good movie, and it's entertaining. If you're looking for something that's entertaining, it's not heavy on the plot. So like really simplistic. All they got to do is escape and not get killed by the zombies, and that's pretty much the whole film. But it's like I remember watching it in theaters, and I was like, this is intense. It's like that first scene throwing you in, and then you just go all the way through, and it is nonstop action.
When year did this come out?
Last year.
Yeah.
Last year,
like October, November time.
You know, that explains because I don't think I was really like too up on what was going on in horror and whatnot until more recently this year when I like started doing the podcast with everybody. Because like my horror experience wasn't really too big. Like I liked a couple of things. Like I haven't watched every single Jason movie. I haven't like seen every single.
I have.
Yeah, I have not. I have not.
So it's comedy after a certain.
Oh yeah, no, exactly. It's
just
ridiculously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love
and
Jason
I
Takes
seen,
Manhattan.
I've seen the original movies of those ones. Like I watched like the OG ones because I knew that everything after that is kind of just going to be the same shit. So I watched the original ones to kind of get that feeling, you know.
Jason goes against a psychic.
But yeah, so I'm missing out on some like ridiculous things that are happening, and I'm interested.
Jason in Space is my favorite.
Jason X?
Yes.
That's, I think, the worst one.
It is terrible. It's a terrible movie.
Next to Jason Goes to Hell.
It is so entertaining for me, though. Knowing that, like, it's going to be terrible. It reminds me of, like, do you guys remember the movie Man with the Iron Fists?
The Reza movie?
Yeah. So when I first watched it, I was expecting it to be a really good movie, which is a mistake on my part. But it was just one of those Quentin Tarantino presents, so it could be good or bad.
Yeah.
It's not like an Iron Monkey movie where it was amazing. So I go and watch it the first time, and I fucking hated it. I almost walked out of the theater. And then I went to go rewatch it knowing that it was terrible, and I loved it. And then I rewatched it again when I got the DVD for it, and I was like, this movie's amazing if you just think about how it's like a terrible fucking movie. And then you watch it and you enjoy it more. I didn't know what happened. And I was like, yeah, this is for sure. Because like you watch it and you know ridiculous shit is going to happen. And I don't know why that changed my view of it.
I think this is like the 5th time I've brought this up, but like Piranha 3D was like that with me. Like in order for me to enjoy that, I had to go in with the knowledge of this is a terrible film. Yep. Do not expect anything amazing.
Just entertainment.
And just watch it for the fun of it. And it was glorious.
Yep.
Yeah.
That you're talking about the new one?
Yeah, the Piranha 3D that came out like
There's
2012 or whatever the hell. Well, I only saw the first one, the 3D one.
They did like a part 1 and 2, or they just made like a version of it.
They made a sequel, kind of like there were some continuing characters.
Oh, okay, I didn't know that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, so they continued over from it.
Yeah, like Ving Rhames, who was in the first movie, I think, was in it. I'm not sure who else.
Did they keep Christopher Lloyd, or he dies in the first one, doesn't he?
I don't recall.
I don't remember. Because Christopher Lloyd's in there, and he's just like,
these
piranhas have been extinct for thousands of years.
I love that.
So funny.
I feel like there's always like people who want to make the next Jaws movie, the scary underwater creature, or make the monster like you can't see him.
Didn't they just try that with the Meg? It's like about the megalodon.
Yeah,
I tried
it's terrible, but like they tried making a new Jaws movie, but like there's no way to sort of
with Jason Statham.
Yeah, that was super weird.
And try to appeal to the Chinese market.
Yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah,
we need to do like I'm sorry, Eddie.
It's
we
good.
need to do like a underwater horror like theme.
Oh, for
pretty
sure.
soon. I think maybe that's what we should do next week. Is just do underwater horror.
Because there's like
summer.
There's like Piranha. There's like Lake Placid.
But I know people wanted to talk about. We also wanted to talk about like Ghost Ship as well.
Ghost Ship was an interesting movie.
And Carl Urban.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have a man crush on Carl Urban.
Yes. Let's explore this some more.
So tell us all about
it. What other movies is he in that you were like, yes, I love this movie?
Well, Judge Dredd.
Fuck yeah. Oh, God, that was such a good movie.
Judge Dredd's dope. Yeah.
Yeah, but that's my bias because I'm into the comics and to that character and world. Pretty much him as Bones in the Star Trek movies.
Yeah.
He's passable in the Chronicles of Riddick movies, pretty much. I know he's been in
as
Xena Warrior
Vaco?
Princess.
I think in
Vaco, yeah.
Yeah, in Chronicles of Riddick. I used to watch that so much.
Yeah, my dad always compared him to like a high school football jock. And that, which is not off for sure,
right.
But it's just like, I know Carl Urban is a good actor.
Did you ever watch Doom?
I did watch Doom. It's just like the worst piece of shit movie you can ever watch, except for those 5 minutes where it's the first person.
First person, that's probably the best part. But
like, that's not even like a movie there.
Well, that's at the very end, isn't it? Like that's like the finale of it is that The Rock just goes full first person and starts murdering.
Oh no, it's Carl Urban who goes first person.
Excuse me.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me.
I guess his name in there is Reaper.
It's been a long time since I've seen that movie because I didn't feel like revisiting it after the first time.
It doesn't even feel like Doom. To be honest, like
no,
they'll just slap the title Doom on something or just any title that's familiar to a fan base and just like, this is a product we're going to sell to you so you can come and play it, watch it, do whatever you want with it. So,
I wish they did make another Doom movie that was closer to the games.
Well, actually, they made a Doom movie that's going to be more like a direct-to-video, I guess, but it's still kind of like the same Doom movie that we got before.
Oh, lame.
I know. And I was just like, why are you selling the short? Doom is very simple. It's just you're in a super suit on Mars fighting monsters and demons from hell, pretty much. There's not much of a plot that you can go on from there. It's just...
I've seen so many movies made on less. They have enough. Like,
just hire yourself some good choreographers.
Yeah.
Spend a lot on some good design sets. Give us an hour and a half of bloodfest. And I'm into it.
People would dig it.
Dude, you could knock it down to an hour of just watching this dude tear through
demons.
Do
Disney movie length. Do like an hour and a half, and you'll be fine.
I mean, maybe even like, you know what you should do? You should have like a break. I would love to see an action movie have a breakdown where like the character's arm has been like ripped off and they have to like, or they're stuck like a 127 hours situation where you have like this really grueling, like he like rips his own arm off to survive or some nonsense like that. I don't know, something that's like solo that could happen. So there's no extra characters. It's just Doom guy versus all of the horrible, and just how he like wrecks through it. I don't know.
So
Bruce
many
Campbell in
references.
the Evil Dead movie.
For which one?
Bruce Campbell in the Evil Dead.
Yeah, exactly.
He has to cut off his own arm just so he's not fully possessed by the Deadite. Yep.
Everything's already happened.
I can think of like 4 different references where someone loses.
Everything kind of references itself pretty much. Like it's kind of like how I view it as Orbos eating its own tail.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Pretty much like something is eventually going to be coming from another place that's familiar and stuff.
Okay. Shit. that's a good read of that.
Yeah, definitely a very good read of that.
I was
Good
like,
job.
all right, yeah, I dig it.
A fine point.
Also, we went super off track, but the name of the episode you're talking about is
Yes.
Playtest. It's literally just called Playtest.
Okay.
So it's like
That's the horror movie. That's the horror movie Black Mirror episode.
horror video game.
Yeah, it's the VR one. He goes into the VR and it's like super real.
Yes. Yeah.
You know what is a very cool one that I really liked? I forget the name of it, but it's the one where they basically alter the soldier's vision so that they see their enemies as like horrible ghouls. And it starts off as like a total horror episode. Like you are totally think that these are horrible monsters that are out to like murder these people, and they're scary and freaky looking, and they even do the jump scares in the beginning too to totally put you in that mood.
Yeah.
And it was really fantastically done like that. So it's like one of my favorite
Well, they started examples. You off with that where you're like rooting for the soldiers. You want them to like survive the encounters. Mm-hmm. And then as he starts to realize there's like something secret going on, and then he basically turns it off, or they find a way to turn it off, and he realizes that they've been doing this to like innocent people.
Yep.
They've like basically programmed them to kill these ghouls so that they wouldn't like disobey orders of killing a civilian.
Yep.
And then it gets real political, and you're like, oh shit, like they're trying to send a message with this episode.
Yep.
With how like there's military in other countries that are just doing exactly that while also painting them as like terrible people in the media.
What are the cost of our lives?
Yeah.
You guys watch that Chernobyl?
Yeah.
Yes. I gotta finish Chernobyl because
I have to finish it as well.
I know. Actually, my dad started getting into it, and he says bleak. It's like, Dad, it's supposed to be bleak. It's Chernobyl.
Oh yeah, you already know the ending. Like,
yeah, dude.
You just get to watch it unfold.
Watching the outcome of what happens to this whole community and how it collapses within itself is an interesting watch, and what it leaves behind in history, pretty much. Because that's something interesting to me about Chernobyl and stuff. And then there's, I believe, the whole political system and people who say, oh, the reactor is not blown up. There's no isotopes like outside the facility.
What are the cost of our lives? Seriously, it's a line from like the end of the show. But it's important shit though. It's fucking cool. It's, I'm not really giving anything away. It's just it's something a character says, and it's like really like it'll grab you by the heart.
The episode you're talking about, it's the name of it is Men Against Fire.
There you go.
Is what that one was called. And
I need to watch the rest of Black Mirror.
Oh, you should definitely watch it. There's no particular order you have to watch it in. So just because I watched it by like what appealed to me most. Sure. And then when I watched all of those, I watched the rest.
Because after I finished season 5, I was just like, let's go back a little and watch like Callister.
The newest season is nothing like the rest of the Black Mirror episodes. Like there are a few that I can pick out that I'm like, this is a really fucked up episode, and like that was kind of what set the precedent for that show.
I like the first 2 episodes of the new season. The third one kind of falls a little flat on itself.
So I don't know which order you watched in. So which is the one that you didn't like? What was it about?
Anthony Mackie and his best friend, for like a long time, they meet up again on his birthday.
Yes. Oh, yeah. Let's talk about
Striking
that
Vipers.
Yeah. So, do you
fill me in? I have no idea.
So in Striking Vipers, there is a guy. It's based around a black family. So the main guy, you see him in like his sort of younger years, like enjoying his time with his girlfriend. And it's like, oh, hey, look, he's hanging out with his friend. They're having a good time. And then it fast forward however many years to him being settled down with his family. So he's married. He's settled with kids. Does he have a kid?
Yeah, he has a kid. And his wife wants another one.
Yes, that's right. They're trying for another kid, but their marriage is like, it's having a hard time because they're just like, he doesn't want to be sexually intimate with her anymore. Anyway, he has his birthday party and his friend shows up when he was younger and gives him this game. Which is what they were playing earlier in the episode. So it's like the game they bonded over, basically.
It's like Tekken.
Friend. Yeah, it's basically like a skinned over Tekken.
Okay.
And then,
or Street Fighter or Mortal Kombat, which are different fighting games completely.
Totally. So do you remember the little bit that they put on the side of their head that takes them into like whatever world they're in? It works the same way. They can get into the fighting game that way. And so they both go into the fighting game, but it takes a complete twist when his like best friend in there, who's playing a girl, by the way, so it's an Asian dude and a girl.
Mantis in the Guardians and Avengers movie.
Yeah, it is, huh? Shit, I didn't even realize that.
And it's also the Black Power Ranger in the new like Power Ranger movie that came out a couple years ago, which I really liked.
So they get into the game, they start fighting,
that was a good movie.
and like they start realizing that you can actually experience some pain while you're in there. But then
pain and sensations and stuff.
Yeah,
and just
their fight finishes, and they end up like pretty much the girl is on top of him, which is his best friend in real life, and they totally start making out, and then they hook up inside the game.
So they pretty much have like a love
it's
affair.
It's a gay love story hidden underneath another sort of like, I don't know. I personally didn't like that they did it that way, because like it was still like a straight relationship. Like it was a guy and a girl. Mm-hmm. What the audience was watching was a guy and a girl, with only the afterthought of, oh, that's his best friend.
Yeah.
So like it was just strange to me, because I thought they were going to change out the characters. Like I thought they were going to have them try out different characters, and then like they would experience their sexuality that way. But they didn't. They didn't change anything. They just kept going to the same characters, and the dude just like being there. Yeah, he just liked being a girl and experiencing sex that way, but only with his best friend. So it was weird. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I think I'll have to watch the episode to get more of like a more contextual.
I actually liked it because I always liked Anthony Mackie.
Yeah, he's really good in that.
Like I've never seen 8 Mile, but I've seen like Hurt Locker and stuff, where he's more of the straight man to Jeremy Renner when they're in the Middle East.
Right. Oh, The Hurt Locker is a really good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even Anthony Mackie, who's like conflicted, where he's a married man and he's got his best friend, and they're just doing this thing in a virtual reality world, and they have to like find out, do they really have that same connection as they do in the game in the real world, where they don't actually. And it takes him like the entire episode for him to like own up to his wife that like, hey, this is what me and my best friend has been doing for a year now. So, but she seems cool with it. Apparently they make a special day where she gets to have like a cheat day, like she sleeps with one guy.
Yeah. So the whole episode, I felt like it started off super cool, where it was like, yeah, you get to go into this world, you can do whatever you want, and then them having like a gay relationship was like, all right, they're going somewhere. And then it sort of just deteriorated from there for me, because I was like, they both decided to just continue like cheating on each other, and then they don't have a real relationship in real life because they try like making out in real life, and he's like, nope, I don't feel anything. So they only have this gay relationship inside this video game, but it's not even really that gay because it's a guy and a girl.
That to me, I'm going to do a little analysis now. That to me sounds a little bit like the dystopia. Like you being upset about it, that is the dystopia. The technology literally prevents them from being who they actually are, like in a way, because they have to. In a way, I haven't seen the whole episode, but from what you're telling me, that's what it sounds like. Like the technology they're using in a way like affects them on like a personal level. Like,
gotcha.
Which is something you can see in like if it's like a world that they can just plug into and like have an avatar in. Yeah. Which is what I'm thinking, and then they can meet other avatars in it, right?
Well, this one was specifically a fighting game, but they found out they can just do other shit while they're there.
Okay, gotcha. So they can do a bunch of stuff. So it's more like it focuses on these two characters. So they use it to like live out a fantasy they really want to, and then they don't actually have to conform to that lifestyle in the real world. They can be whatever they want. So that's the dystopian. That to me sounds like where the dystopia is, and why you're upset with it makes total sense, because it's like they're not being who they should be. Right. That's what you're.
Half of it was that they're not like engaging in their relationship in real life, and the other half of it was that they made it really easy for an audience to watch. So like the most uncomfortable thing for most audiences to watch is 2 men on screen having sex. That's why you don't see it that often. You don't see like full frontal nudity all that often, and it's always either like heterosexual sex or 2 women having sex, because people love watching that. And so in this case, they copped out kind of where they were like, they had a guy and a girl, even though it was the 2 men. Yeah. And the only thing you come close to is them like sort of kissing, and then that's it.
Yeah. Well, they're very like masculine, very.
Right. Yeah.
Like Anthony Mackie's played a superhero. The other guy, I forget his name. He was also a villain in the Aquaman movie as Black Manta.
Yeah, he was. Shit.
So you kind of take these guys who are gonna like kiss and stuff to see if there's that spark that they share in the same game. But it's like you build relationships in like social media and in games, and in the real world it's kind of like a different feeling. Like you're wondering if that connection is still existing outside of that sort of bond that you've created.
Is it just the game that's between us that brings us together, sort of thing?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think Eddie is getting at. Yeah.
because that's the overall thing. And when they have like, when they're more a little bit open about like, okay, you can have this special day with your friend that you're gonna go online and play, quote unquote,
Right?
And the wife can go and have her little cheat day with like the guy at the bar, pretty much.
I felt like that was more serious about like at the end of it. Like at the end of the day, he's in a virtual world and doing whatever he's doing. But like they suggest that his wife is going out in person for real and finding other dudes to have sex with. So it's like, it was a weird way to sort of place both of those. Like, I get the sentiment of them like wanting to go and have their own day or something, but like he's still at home sitting on a couch.
Yeah.
While his wife's going out somewhere, and I was like, this is a weird way to write that.
Yeah, it's I guess I would just say that people are variant and infinitely variant, and our people's lives are infinite variance in all matters. I cannot expect anything from people, nor can I not expect anything from people.
I will say though, for that episode, kudos to Netflix and to Black Mirror for focusing on a black family and not having like really, they just like, you don't see it that often. And in this case, it was an interesting story regardless. So I was like, that was a good one.
I just viewed it as a family in general.
Oh, see, yeah, that's right. That's a good way to read it.
Yeah,
I know it's just like you want to see like some things a certain way. I just saw like it's a family.
Yeah, see, I like
and
that
friendship
because
and stuff.
That's a good way to look at it because you've already
human
like,
and connected relationships and how complex we build things up as we get older.
Because of the analysis that I've gone through for all the other things, I specifically noticed things like that because of the representation that I work towards for my own work.
Yeah.
But I like Eddie's take on that because that should be how everyone kind of watches things.
Yeah,
where it's
absolutely.
Like, yeah, I'm already just seeing like a regular family.
I mean, that's how I viewed a lot of stuff more so like I don't like look if it's a film about like a family from Mexico, I'd be really surprised if like half the family is like white people.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'd be more stoked on it if it was just, if it got down to like, culturally how it is, someone who actually lived it, understood it. I'd rather have something written like that. Yeah. But yeah, it's basically, it is just a family and you're viewing the characters and what they do.
A family and a friend and just the deep relationships that they have. But, my take on Black Mirror is just like how we use technology, good and bad, or the moral ambiguity of it, pretty much. And it's not really trying to tell quite a moral lesson, in my opinion.
No, well, not necessarily maybe not necessarily a moral lesson, but it just like, it just shows like that it creates a divide in a sense.
Oh yeah.
Not you can view that divide however you'd like. If you think that you could view this from two different angles. You could say that it allows them to interact on their gay fantasy in a technological world where they are free from any sort of oppression or judgment on that part, and you could say that about it if you wanted to.
That's true.
You could also say that, oh no, they're actually hiding from who they truly are, and it's actually the society that is oppressing them and is actually the problem here. It really depends on your perspective with it, on how you really want to look at it.
The only pushback I would have for that is that nothing in Black Mirror suggests that people in that world dislike gay relationships.
True. That's true.
So it could be that in their world, like, I forget which series it is.
That's a good point.
There's a series where like gay relationships are just normal. Oh, it's a super anime. I'm about to get really nerdy. Oh well, JoJo's one of them, but that Yuri on Ice shit, the one where it's like the two gay figure skaters.
Sounds very gay.
Yeah. Oh no, they're really. It's like a super gay show and it's great. But like in their world, gay relationships are super normal. So no one like it never gets discussed as like a negative thing.
Yeah. Black Mirror is kind of like they explore like gay relationships sometimes.
Yeah. Well, they had that episode, what is it, San Junipero, as well as the one where she brings her husband back as like an android basically.
Yes.
After he's died.
Yes,
so like
one.
Yeah.
I gotta watch more of this show.
Yeah.
It's a really good show, man.
I feel like I missed out on some things.
You missed out a lot.
The only other ones I wanted to mention, which are like definitely horror, was there's an episode called White Bear, which is when a woman, she wakes up in like a random apartment and then like quickly gets let out of it by these people who are like, we have to go, like there's people like hunting us down for no reason. And so she spends like the whole episode trying to escape and then eventually gets caught. But then like, can I spoil it for you? Are you gonna go watch
spoil it. Go for it.
So So spoiler for
I believe I've seen
spoiler
this one.
for White Bear in Black Mirror. You find out at the end of the episode that the entire town is signed up to torture this woman every day.
Oh, this is a cell phone one.
Cell phone one?
The cell phone one where they all come out with the phones, like.
Oh, yes.
Is that her? That one? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that one's crazy.
Yeah, they
That's
all
nuts.
sign up to go and torture this woman because, well, I believe she was drunk driving and killed a family, and so
That's right.
since
How we
then,
public scrutinize somebody online.
Yep.
Pretty much.
so what happens is she gets tortured every day, basically, and they just continue this process and they keep doing it
It's
over
just
and over
humiliation. It's not like I don't feel like it was like rip your toenails off type of torture. It was sort of like just humiliation.
Well, I think she's basically in pain at some point.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I think
like
I
towards
missed,
the end of it.
It's been a while.
Yeah.
It's been a while, so I may not know what I'm talking about.
There was definitely, so there was that one, and then there was let me see if I was just looking at it.
Should we talk about the second and third episode of this new season?
Yes. Well, okay. So the second, or I don't even know which one to call it, but like the one with Miley Cyrus. There's an episode with Miley Cyrus.
That's the third one.
Yeah. So that one.
Smithereens was the second one.
It's one of like 2 Black Mirror episodes that actually has like a happy ending.
Yeah. Rachel. I actually wrote it down.
Yeah. So that one has like a happy ending, and then the Star Trek one that he mentioned earlier,
USS Callister,
actually has a happy ending.
Oh.
For them. Do you remember? So basically, you can explain it. Yeah.
Which one?
I'm sorry, I keep forgetting it. The USS something.
USS Callister.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the Callister is the spaceship in this game that the guy from Breaking Bad had created.
Is he from Breaking Bad?
Yeah, he's It's been a while since I watched Breaking Bad, but it's the guy that Jesse kills at the end of the very last.
Oh shit, that's right.
He pisses a lot of people off
Right.
in that show, pretty much, and he's trying to go after it's. But in USS Callister, it's the company that is in the real world that's developed a game, kind of like Star Trek in a way, but he controls the situations and everything that's going on. It's kind of like based off of one Twilight Zone episode,
right?
Where this little kid is kind of like ruler of his own domain, which they remade in the current Twilight Zone.
He makes his own sort of his own little area where he gets to do whatever he wants because he's a programmer for the company. And
he takes his coworkers' DNAs and he can
inserts them into the game.
Yeah.
Although interesting though is that like all he wanted to do was control what they did. Like he wanted them to be a crew and do that. There's no other like negative things. Like he's not torturing them. He's not forcing them into like sexual situations. I think in that world they don't
and his own sexual situations that he wants.
Right.
Because like he kind of wants to play more of the William Shatner character.
He just wants to be in charge and people love him. And like that's sort of like
they'll
the
say
fantasy.
He's a jolly good fellow.
That's so weird.
Wait. This is the Star Trek episode.
Yeah.
This is the new season of Black Mirror?
Last season. That was last season.
That was last season.
Yeah.
The actor's name is Jesse Plemons.
I'm very silly. Whoops.
But basically at the end, they figure out a way to trap him in there. And then the versions of them inside the game, so not the real people, they find a way to get into the actual game. And so then they live out their existence in the actual game, which is kind of cool.
Yeah.
So it's like a nice happy ending for them.
Yeah.
And then the new one with Miley Cyrus's character is actually a happy ending as well, which I felt like was a huge analogy for how she feels about her career right now.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Did it focus on Miley Cyrus as Miley Cyrus?
As a pop star where she has no control.
Her name is Ashley O in the show. Yeah. But it's like she's basically who she is.
Playing herself. Yeah. That's cool. I like that.
Her aunt is her manager, and she's controlling every aspect of what she does until she's like 25.
Yep.
And there's these little like robot dolls that she sells with her sort of like construct.
Yeah.
And she is somehow, her aunt puts her in a coma pretty much, and one of her avatars is one of the little toy robots that wasn't recalled because of battery issues apparently in the show.
Well, I think I was what's the word, speculating that they were recalled for that exact reason, because if someone unlocked the rest of it, then you would have another version of her that could possibly save her, and that's exactly what happens.
Yes, plus they were also able to like find music inside her head.
Yeah, I didn't fully understand how that worked, but I was like, whatever, this isn't like the most troubling thing I had to question in this episode. Yeah. But like, yeah, basically she's in a coma and somehow they think she's still composing music. So they like dig into her brain and like pull out notes and start composing music while she's in a coma and then sell that while she's in a coma. It's really fucked up.
I like that. I like it on the pure like just scientific fantasy aspect.
Yeah,
of
exactly.
That. Like we stole the music literally.
Well,
out
I love
of
the
her
little
head.
board that he's working at because it's like she's like, yeah, do this. And then he like does that, like pushes a little knob. She's like, do that, and he like turns something else. But like that's it, and that's totally not how those panels work. Yeah. So it was like he was just doing shit like
he's just
like,
pressing the pad button.
Right.
The universal soundboard.
Yeah, it was like some crazy universal soundboard that they were working with.
Yeah. The one thing I kind of thought was interesting is they use 9 Inch Nails.
They did.
Well, in her like famous song
yeah.
that she was doing, it was Head Like a Hole, but they used it as a pop song. But then at the end of the episode, they actually do Head Like a Hole with her singing it, which is...
Well, basically what was happening is she was feeling like she didn't want to be that specific kind of artist anymore. She didn't want to do pop music anymore and like wanted to shift her music, but her aunt was like, nope, we're not doing that. So she like heavily sedates her or drugs her basically and puts her into the coma so that she stays in the coma until she's 25 and takes out all of those songs. And so she keeps doing that. But then these two girls who still have one of those little robots, they unlock the rest of the consciousness on that robot, which is just another version of Ashley O. And so she's like, I gotta go save myself. And so they're like, okay. So they help her break into the house to save her. But then this stupid little robot tries to kill her. Like unplugs the fucking thing. And then you find out that she was just in a coma and she wakes up after that. You thought like she was dead for like 30 seconds. And then she wakes up and they're like, oh fuck, we gotta get out of here. And then they escape. They go confront the aunt. And then at the end of the episode, it's Miley Cyrus's character, Ashley O, playing like at some like
Head Like a
bar
Hole.
venue where she's playing rock music and like shifted her entire thing. She's playing with the girls that saved her. And it's like a nice happy ending.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I was like, it's a cool ending, but it was like that was totally an analogy.
It's not Black Mirror though.
No, that's why I watched the first like the newest season. I was like, this has nothing to do.
I want my soul crushed when I watch Black Mirror.
It felt like it could be.
Really, you feel me? You jive. I know what you're talking about.
It feels like
we're both doomers. Yeah, real low.
It's a lost episode of Hannah Montana where she wants.
It really was, honestly. Like I think that's why she was so interested in it. Is like she was able to kind of play out how she might actually be feeling about her career.
Oh wow!
Because she's been wanting to shift her music for a long time.
Or just pop stars in general, like people of celebrity status who
definitely
who have this persona that they build for the stage and for an audience, pretty much. And her personal life is sort of scrutinized. So,
this is a really good time to move on to Love, Death, and Robots.
We're not going to talk about the last, like, other episode.
You talking about... I didn't like it. But, like, we should talk about it because it's like... I feel like that one could be soul-crushing for some people, honestly. Do you want to explain what happens?
Basically, the actor who played Moriarty from the Sherlock Holmes, Benedict Cumberbatch, he is... an Uber Lyft driver, and he's in this support group on people who have passed in their lives, pretty much.
Yep.
And he's trying to get like someone who works at this company that's kind of like Facebook called Smithereens, and who's run by the CEO Mark Zuckerberg, who's played by Topher Grace.
Yep.
And he's just... I think it's more of like him confessing that he was addicted to his phone while driving, pretty much.
Yeah.
Because he tries to hold this pain inside of him where he was looking at his phone and put it more on the drunk driver.
Yeah. Well, so like I felt like they were definitely trying to send a message about people being addicted to their phones because this social media company that is like a main part of the story is sort of like quote unquote the reason why his wife dies. And so he's driving late at night with his wife and he looks down at his phone real quick to look at a notification, and then a drunk driver hits them head on, and that like instantly kills his wife. But he believes that the reason why she died is because he looked at his phone. And so he wanted to tell the CEO of the company, he just wanted to tell him, like, you need to figure something out, like change the way that you're doing the social media because it can be dangerous to people. and that's all he wanted to do. But in order to do this, he's trying to kidnap someone who works for the company so that he can like basically bribe
Who's
his
just
way.
an intern, pretty much.
Which is funny because it ends up being just an intern, and like they don't care about him. But like, well, they sort of do, but like it doesn't work out well for him, and then he like gets stuck in like a police standoff where he's like, I want to talk to what is his name, Billy something.
Billy Bauer,
who
and
is the
very
CEO.
Irish. I want to talk to Billy Bauer.
Right. Right. And so that's the whole episode. He's demanding to speak to him. And then when he finally does, he explains that that's the reason why his wife died and that he's just going to.
And Topher Grace plays Billy Bauer, who's like the Mark Zuckerberg, Steve Jobs.
Who's actually like a pretty nice dude. He's not like a terrible CEO who like fucking hates people. Like, so he actually tries to help him. And so towards the end of the episode, he tells him this is why his wife died. And then the CEO of the company is like, is there anything I can do for you? Like anything, like so that you don't kill yourself. Because he wants to kill himself after telling him what had happened.
Even like the intern is trying to stop him from killing himself.
The guy who got kidnapped is trying to stop him from killing himself. And so the only thing that's important in the episode is way early in the episode, he meets another woman he was at therapy with, who he then hooks up with. And then he finds out that her daughter committed suicide and that they weren't
trying to get on her persona
they
account.
weren't allowing her to get onto her social media site to like see what her last messages were because it would give the mom some closure. Mm-hmm. And so at the end of the film, the guy is like, actually, you can unlock this person's profile for her daughter, and she gets the call and like is able to go into her profile, but then you don't find out whether or not he killed himself. It just ends.
Well, they had a clear shot, pretty much. Like, how many times did they try to shoot him? Like 3-4 times.
But
at
it's
least?
like it's movie rules. You didn't see him die. I was so conflicted about that. But I guess because they did like a gunshot sound, so you can assume he got shot.
Yeah, like there's always like the problem I find with like even TV and movies is where they just do the fade to black.
I hate that shit.
Yeah, which is
I'm not a fan of the fade to black and like not explaining anything.
Unless it's like there's an artistic reason why they're fading to
Right.
black. If you're just doing it because you couldn't fucking figure out how to end your shit, come on, man. Like, get a different job. Like,
right.
I also thought it was interesting that Topher Grace's character took the moment out of his like whole meditation of 10 days to get away from technology in the modern world.
Right.
And then he goes back to his meditation right after.
Literally right after he found out that whole event happened. Which is also why I kind of assumed that he didn't get killed, because he may have just been captured. Because that doesn't seem like the kind of guy who would just go back normal to that. Because he was pretty distraught. Like through the episode where he was like, no, dude, you don't need to kill yourself. So I don't think he would just go back to meditation after the guy just killed himself. But there's no way to be sure. And I think that was the point.
So it was just very ambiguous.
Yeah, super ambiguous ending, which is annoying for me. But it was like, after watching the other two, and I was just like, this is nothing like Black Mirror. I was kind of like disappointed with the newest season. Regardless, they're still good stories. Like, it's worth watching if you don't know anything about Black Mirror. But don't start there. Don't start on the first season.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, man, shit. Those are really good. Yeah, Black Mirror in itself is a really good series when it comes to tying in technology. In some ways, it's very prominent, and it's the reason why these stories unfold. But in others, it sort of plays a side role to everything else that's happening in the story. And so there's some movies that do that.
It's our modern dystopia. It's this generation's modern dystopia. Yeah. It plays upon fears that I think everybody has: the fear of being watched, the fear of technology overtaking our lives, and like sometimes us like melding with it. And and all the other fears that could come out of it, and whatnot. Like
it definitely plays on a lot of people's fears for specifically to make you feel a certain way, and then to sort of be wary of connecting in certain ways, especially with the new technology, like the ways that we're pushing forward with some of these, how potentially toxic they can end up being for people.
I would like to just like kind of like segue in from Black Mirror to Love, Death, and Robots. Is if anybody really likes Black Mirror or just Twilight Zone-esque anthologies, I suggest someone goes and watch Electric Dreams, which is based off of Philip K. Dick's short stories, where he did like Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, Scanner Darkly, Man in the High Castle, which are very familiar. Like Blade Runner is his most popular of adapted works.
Yeah,
pretty much. So, or Total Recall, or Man in the High Castle. But if I kind of prefer Electric Dreams a little bit more myself, because I feel like it's not completely like a fatalist point of view.
This is the father son in the desert, right? Or is this a different one you're thinking of?
It's an anthology show.
Yeah, the specific episode when this.
Not any particular episode, but I'm just.
Oh, gotcha.
I'm just suggesting out there for listeners.
Oh, I see. I misunderstood.
No, it's all good. It's like, oh no.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Oh no. Yeah.
I rewatched some of Love, Death, and Robots today. I went back and like chose specific episodes that I really liked. One of the main ones was Sucker of Souls, which is basically a short story about some archaeologists and some mercenaries finding Dracula.
Oh yes, that's a good one. I love the art style in that one.
Yeah,
a lot. It's really, really minimalist, but
Yep.
but really action packed and visceral.
Brightly colored blood.
Yeah,
that just like spewed
Candy
everywhere.
colored.
Yeah, it was like really, really like a specific color. And,
I also like that they take the liberties with Dracula, because
Yeah.
I feel like you lock down Dracula too much in like the romantic vampire.
They sort of showed
Or
like
socialite.
they had like they paid like some tribute to his image by having his shriveled version look like Dracula, like long black
until
hair.
he turns into a giant like version.
It's jacked. After he takes in some blood, he gets like this super crazy creature that starts hunting
One thing
him down.
I did like about what was it called? The episode?
Let me double check. Sucker of Souls.
Yeah, obvious. It's like The Descent. If anyone has seen Neil Marshall's The Descent, where these group of women go
that was a good movie.
underground and they're going to get away from
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
their problems from
Yeah.
the world that they've kind of carried with them, and there's these underground vampires. Pretty much, that's what it totally reminded me of, but with guns, like aliens, pretty much.
Very claustrophobic because they're like in like a mine shaft basically. So like there's just not very many exits out. Or they were like in ruins. He shows a map.
Underground ruins.
Yeah, he shows a map at some point. My favorite thing about that episode was that Dracula hates cats, and that's like their only defense. He like holds a cat up, and he was like, "Oh fuck no!" And like scurries away and is like not dealing with it. But he's speaking in Romanian. I wonder what he's saying.
Yeah,
it's like someone could probably translate.
Isn't he like afraid of cats in the Bram Stoker like Francis Ford
I
Coppola
believe
movie?
so. Yeah. I think because they're like protectors of the underworld, and so they end up being like gatekeepers in some way. But like, there's so many different reasons why he could be scared of cats. But that particular one was really funny. I liked it, and it sort of gave you like.
That's like when I want to see a sequel happen.
Oh man, I wish they did more of that. But I don't think anyone escapes in that one. I think they all die at the end. Possibly, they get surrounded by like a bunch of other ones.
A horde of them, like they accidentally ran into the hive.
Yeah. Also, I feel like going to my last few classes at State and then watching a few different horror films, I got more appreciation for shorter films because of how distilled and concentrated they have to be with their writing and with like what they're showing you. Like nothing is wasted in a short film. So like every single bit that they're showing you is important, and like rewatching it showed it to me even more. Like how like certain details about what you're looking at like make sense for what's going to happen in it. So like there's another one called Beyond the Aquila Rift, and
that was a favorite of mine. Just the twist of it.
That was so good.
Oh no, when the ship like changes into like the fleshy alien form.
Yeah, it's like taking over his
It's a
mind.
nest.
Oh, I love that shit. What?
It's pretty much a nest, like a nest floating out in space, and it's a spider woman who he's having sex with, I'm assuming.
Mental sex. He's having mental sex with her.
Yeah, it's like all in his mind. Yeah. She's having him like feel the sensations and whatnot, I guess.
If you want to see what I really look like, you wouldn't love me.
She kind of says that. She's like, you're not ready for that.
Yeah.
And like, he's like, no, you got to show me, and like tries to do that.
Show me,
but...
are you sure?
He tries to break from her bonds pretty much, like the mental bonds that she's holding against him. And even like one of his crew members knows better that what's going on, but she's like always trying to put her back to sleep, like going into this comatose state pretty much. And the thing I think what works about horror is that it's short and sweet and to the point. You don't have to like really expand on horror all that much. Like,
right.
Tell it in like.
It's a really nice re-imaging of like certain sci-fi stories where it's like you're getting that unknown creature, species, whatever, alien like taking over.
Cosmic horror.
It is a bit.
Yeah.
Like Event Horizon is like one of my favorite
cosmic
horror movies because it's a gothic horror. Like it's the old classic haunted house horror movie in space, pretty much.
Yeah.
And I always feel like with horror movies, you don't need to stretch that taffy so thin, which I feel like some things do.
Yeah.
Like, don't overtell things.
Oh, yeah, for sure. These were all, like, really straightforward stories, and they didn't have to get too complex for it to have, like, a real effect on how you're feeling. Like, with the Dracula one, even though we all know the Dracula story, that wasn't the point of the story. The point of it was them trying to escape. And, like, so you get a lot of feeling when at the beginning, because it starts off with them running away. So it starts in the middle of, like, the action, and then it goes back and tells you kind of how they found him, and then goes back to them escaping and whether or not they can escape, and then giving you the idea that cats are, like, sort of a repellent, kind of gives you a bit of hope for them to escape the situation, but it's, like, it's pretty dire. Like, they're not going to
remind me of something from Hellboy a little bit.
Yeah, it definitely had that vibe where they have, like,
from the Hellboy
items.
comics, pretty much, where he has this, like, accoutrements of a, like, something that goes against this monster that this monster cannot stand, and pretty much it's like what happens in, like, Brothers Grimm's tales, where
yeah, exactly,
like old world stories that we kind of take for granted of, I feel. Yeah,
and it's a cool way to kind of bring those stories back around to create a new reimaging of it for, like, a new generation. So that was cool. I like that. That's a good reading of that, especially with the mythic items that they end up using, which Hellboy is, like, he definitely uses a lot of those. Mm-hmm. Did you guys watch the new movie?
I liked it.
I have not seen the new one.
I haven't seen the new one, but I heard people didn't
I'm the
like
only
it.
one here who can say I like the movie.
Yeah, I suspect I will like it because of the direction that they chose with it. People are too stoked with Ron Perlman is why they didn't like it.
Yeah.
Well, can I just say stuff about the new Hellboy movie?
Yeah, you're fine. I'll watch it eventually. Later.
Okay. Well, this is a movie which obviously they didn't get to the third movie with Guillermo del Toro and Ron Perlman doing it. And Guillermo del Toro was off doing, like, Hobbit and other movies pretty much. And then Ron Perlman was still waving the flag, let's finish this movie, because it was the third movie to kind of bookend this story pretty much. And Neil Marshall had his vision of a movie, but this was also, I guess, a studio compromised movie pretty much. Excuse me. But there's going to be apparently a whole nother Hellboy series and BPRD series on Netflix happening, so I'm pretty excited about that.
Is the original creator going to be a part of it too? He's, like, just getting in
Mike
on
Mignola?
all of it. Yeah. Because he was involved with both movie versions.
I would imagine he would be involved because that's his own creation.
Yeah,
that's his own baby and stuff. So I don't see him, like, not being involved with it.
I like the guy that they chose for Hellboy in the new one.
David Harbour?
Yeah.
Well, he's pretty much like Hellboy and Stranger Things to me. Like,
yeah, really though. Like, he also looks really, like, I liked his image that they created for the new movie. Like, he looks very close to how he looks in the comics.
Yeah, he looks more like he's out of a heavy metal magazine.
Yeah, that's
very
accurate.
Much. Like, and it's mostly he has those years of fighting monsters.
Yep.
So
he's not, like, flawless like Ron Perlman's version.
Yeah, he looks like a warrior, like someone that, like, has taken a few hits in the face. You know?
He's got the Frank Frazetta, like, on top of all these pile of monsters, and he's standing on top with his flamed horns and crown.
Yeah, that looked like a cool shot. So I definitely want to watch it, and I'm gonna watch it with, like, not a whole lot of expectations, and I think it'll work out fine.
Yeah. Kind of back to the Soul Sucker.
Yeah.
I've never really been big into the whole romantic vampire.
Like basically the pretty vampires.
Yeah, like Interview with a Vampire, or just like I'm going to dance with you in the moonlight and make sweet vampire love to you. Kind of vampires.
Insert Twilight joke.
Yeah. I'm all for Robert Pattinson being Batman, to be honest.
He looks pretty legit. I'm not going to lie. Like, he's done other roles where he was really good. He beefed up for the role. I think he might do all right. Anybody's better than Ben Affleck, honestly.
I actually like Ben Affleck.
Just kidding.
I know. He was the bomb in Phantoms, yo.
I don't like Ben Affleck for some reason. I think it's just me personal.
I think I couldn't see why, but Go ahead, Mitch.
With all of these roles coming up that people are sort of iffy about because we're not sure how these actors are going to handle these roles and whatnot, I think the best opinion that you can have, the best, most educated, moral opinion you can have is, I'm going to wait until it comes out and watch it. No matter what I say after this about what I think, I will always believe that I will just see when it comes out. And then I will know. That's the best way. That's the best way.
I'm really excited to see Joaquin Phoenix play the Joker.
Yes.
I'm actually pretty excited about that. Did you ever watch Her?
Yes.
That's still
fucking...
Sad fucking movie.
It is.
It is so sad.
It is so sad. But anyway, wait. So we're still on Love, Death, and Robots.
Yeah,
we only talked about one episode.
Oh yeah, no, we're gonna keep going. Yeah.
A plethora of them. So, I would like to bring up one of them.
Is it the Suits one?
Is it the Suits one? No, not yet. We'll talk about StarCraft Farm Simulator.
Right, exactly.
Later, because that's like that's not really horror.
It can be.
It's kind of more fun and action.
I'm stretching the limits of what's included in horror for that one, but I get it.
Did you see that one, Eddie? The StarCraft Farm Simulator one?
I binge all Love, Death, and Robots because I love animation.
Yeah.
And I love science fiction and horror and fantasy and heavy metal
all
magazine.
Wrapped up.
Yep.
Yeah, because this show was like made for me in a way. And David Fincher and Tim Miller working together on a production. Like, I've always loved David Fincher on
Which ones they do?
I couldn't tell you at the top of my head.
I don't remember which ones they were in or which ones they.
Name sounds super familiar though.
But yeah.
Well, you obviously know David Fincher from Fight Club and Seven and Zodiac and
there we go.
3.
There we go, Eddie.
That's why.
And there we go. We got you.
And Tim Miller, he did the first Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
And he's done animated stuff. Like he's talking about doing the Goon adaptation.
The Goonies?
No, The Goon.
Oh, The Goon. The Goon. Excuse me. I was like, why are the Goonies? Excuse me.
Yeah, The Goon is it takes place in this Prohibition era with zombies. It's like Goodfellas meets Army of Darkness, pretty much. That's how you can best describe it.
Oh my God. Goodfellas meets Army of Darkness. I'm in.
That could be really good.
That sounds legit.
Yeah.
What's the episode you wanted to mention though?
Oh, so there's two of them. There's the werewolf one, the military werewolf one.
Called Shapeshifters.
Shapeshifters, and then the other one is the one with the Russian soldiers that are holding off all the ghouls.
The Secret War.
That was also super awesome. I liked both of those because that one dealt with the same. The Secret War dealt with the same sort of thing that Chernobyl deals with, where they're like keeping this. You can assume based upon what they call that and then how they talk about it in the episode that they're hiding the fact that these ghouls exist from the rest of the world. It's like a problem that the Russians committed some horrible. No, it's the Nazis that did it. Like Hitler committed like an awful act. I think.
Yeah, they were hunting down the remainder.
Fault.
Yeah,
they're hunting down the remainder of like his crazy like
ghoul
experiments that have like burrowed into the ground. But like they pretty much like bomb the whole area at the end of it because they don't want to keep it under wraps.
Yep,
that was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it played out really well.
I really like Shapeshifters too because werewolves are so often like I don't know. Werewolves have like a weird history now, a weird history. I have a weird history in horror, in my opinion, because there's like you have like I was a teen werewolf, like you have like stuff, you have shit like that happened that kind of like
Teen Wolf.
Yeah, like Teen Wolf, like
Underworld. I think was the other one.
Yeah, Underworld. That also. I mean, Underworld's not lame though.
No,
Underworld's dealt with the clans, and I actually like Underworld and thought it was kind of cool. I liked seeing like the little political dynamics, kind of a little bit.
Yeah, they had like a hierarchy. Yeah.
Before Twilight.
It was before Twilight.
Yeah, I mean, I will never ever fucking like that series. Like the
Twilight series.
I just won't.
Yeah.
Nope. I just cannot.
I will say
because it's not written for us. It was written by like tween girls who really like these deep romantic dark fantasies.
She's commented and said that she did have a specific audience, but then it got a really big image change when it got taken to the film to like the big screen.
Yeah.
But the first Twilight movie is actually not a terrible movie. I'll go ahead and say that.
I will say,
like
under the guise of the guys that I was going on a date with someone in order to go see this movie.
Right.
I agreed to go watch it with her on a date.
Yeah.
And I wasn't a big asshole about it. I was like, all right, that's cool. We'll just go sit down and watch the movie. And I remember not being completely terrible, like being like, this is god awful. Like
it's
I remember
the rest
not being
of them that
awful.
are terrible. And you want to know why it's terrible? Because they changed directors.
Oh.
Yeah. So the original director had actually a really good adaptation for the story itself.
Yeah.
Because the story is not terrible.
Yeah.
It's like not the most terrible thing you've ever heard.
No.
But then when it got taken in and became a really popular like tween movie is when it really like we're like, this is fucking awful, and they didn't want to see anything else about it. It was kind of like the Hunger Games. They changed that into a teen story when there was like literally children eating each other in the books. Yeah. So like I don't know how they got there, but like they fucked up that story, and I'm sure she's upset about it because like there was basically like a battle royale for kids, and like they changed it into something that was much different with what's her name, Jennifer Lawrence, who I don't really like, but like that's a whole different story.
So yes, we have
so
that.
werewolves.
Yeah, werewolves. Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of cool to see them like in like a military aspect, like seeing like a genetic like you have the sci-fi take on a horror monster.
They were incorporated into the military.
Yeah, in the military, and it was a very modern setting. That was like modern, like the current wars that are going on. Yep. It was very modern and very applicable to that, and that I found very interesting and entertaining.
They still separated them though. They were like they segregated them, and they were like lower in some way. Like they were like a subclass.
The rest of the troops saw them as like because they were gifted, they were not as good.
Yeah,
they call them dog soldiers.
That's it.
And it was. Did you guys ever watch the movie Dog Soldiers?
I don't think so.
No.
All right, think of it like Aliens with werewolves, pretty much. It's done by the same director who did The Descent, Neil Marshall.
Okay.
And he also did episodes of like Westworld and Game of Thrones. And these soldiers are stuck in this house, and there's these werewolves swarming. And the things I love about about werewolves is just they became werewolves instantly. They didn't take another month like for the next moon cycle for them to become like an American.
They just turn their change on whenever they want to.
Yep.
Well, just like during that full moon cycle, they just became those werewolves just instantly. Like if you got bit, it's like zombies. It was like 28 days later, pretty much, with werewolves.
Oh wow, crazy! Except they're all just like these people. Like then when the moon comes on, they all just turn and then come after everybody.
Yeah, there's a lot of familiar.
That's pretty crazy.
Faces in the movie for sure. It's a dark comedy for sure. I highly recommend Dog Soldiers for reviewing, and The Descent. Like watch both of those movies together. And
The Descent is a really, really good movie.
If you want a complete like guy flick, watch Dog Soldiers. If you want a complete chick flick, watch The Descent.
Chick flick in the sense that all the characters are female, and there's no men in the whole thing.
Understood.
Not like romantic comedy chick flick.
Not exactly. Yeah. If you want a group of girls against a horde of monsters,
they're badass.
Then The Descent.
It's a good
and then if you want like a group of guys against a horde of monsters, then watch Dog Soldiers. Yeah. Okay.
Totally.
Sick.
Well, not to like say pigeonhole women who like romantic comedies or whatever.
Yeah.
But I feel like there's always some movies where you can watch like male and female dynamics in a horror, a drama, a comedy, and see how those...
I do like the idea that you're coming up with here, though, of renaming chick flick and changing the meaning. I like it. It works. Yeah, you could do something like that where you're like, no, this doesn't mean the same thing anymore.
It just means that all the main characters are girls. That's it. It's a chick flick.
It's not like a negative connotation where it's like people are not wanting to watch a specific kind of
because
film.
it might be girly.
Yeah. Well, I think Alien and Aliens are a complete chick flick.
Yeah. Fuck yeah. They had like a main female lead, especially during that time period too.
Yeah.
Sigourney Weaver.
The xenomorph is kind of a female all on her own too.
Yes. There's a really big analogy about having children, whether or not you want to.
Well, Giger always like.
Yeah, that's what Aliens gets into.
Aliens also gets into like the idea of motherhood as well, like heavily
with the little girl. Mm-hmm. Yeah,
just parenthood in general.
Dang,
it's really trying to like gender neutral everything. I understand.
I like to go by Zimmer Zer.
Oh my fucking god. Anyway,
but back to Shapeshifters.
Yes.
I love it because it's Dog Soldiers pretty much in the Middle East. It's like Hurt Locker, but with werewolves.
Yeah.
I also like the way it ended.
Yeah.
With him being like, fuck you guys, I'm not going to do this anymore.
Yeah, and he just dips.
Just leaves because I think his best friend gets killed, right?
And then they don't do
by
anything
the terrorists,
about it. They don't treat him
Osama bin Laden like terrorists.
Well, he goes and fights another werewolf.
Yeah.
He fights the main like werewolf.
Yeah, that was badass. That werewolf fight.
Yeah.
That was a cool scene.
Yeah, cool shit.
Was there any other Love, Death, and Robots episodes you wanted to mention?
I would like to mention the Three Robots episode, which is not horror in any way, but it is comedy gold, and it would make it's like Pixar's wet dream.
What is
for nihilistic comedy?
What is the story? What happens?
It's just three robots going through like basically it's like humanity has become extinct, and it's three robots going through and just looking after. Basically,
they're like tourists.
Yeah, they're like tourists observing the aftermath and what the humans did and what was their life like, and
they also have access to like somewhat of a database.
Where
they know like
there's like a HAL like supercomputer who's the female, and there's like the baby caretaker who is so like jovial and optimistic, and the next generation of Xbox,
who actually plays with you.
Yeah. I love that.
I think that's one that needs to get a sequel. Like,
I just want like a full movie of that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Please write it.
Yeah, and
I feel like this show I would also like to mention the StarCraft Farm Simulator.
Yes,
which I forget what it's actually called.
It's called Suits.
It's called Suits, yes, and that's the one with the farmers that adopt the suits when the swarm of
basically
bugs comes to attack. Yeah, they're basically mechs, but all the characters remind me of like StarCraft characters. Yeah. Like they all just remind me of like guys you'd find like in the StarCraft ships and on the Terran side fighting against the Zerg, and the Zerg are just those little guys coming through.
Yeah,
that's why I say StarCraft Farm Simulator, because it is pretty funny.
They're not stereotypes. I'm trying to think of what the other descriptor is. It's like a kind of character. They're archetypes.
Yeah, exactly.
You get to like they're like specific kind of people. Like you have like the older woman who is like really badass old lady. She's probably like doesn't have a husband. Like she's just grown old, but like is still using the mech and everything. And then all the other characters, but it's still weird because it's like they're farmers. So like they sound super country. They're like they live in the middle of the United States or something. Yeah. But it's like another planet with being overrun by aliens.
Exactly. I love the and then you've got like the skinny engineer that's obsessed with his gun that he's working on his ship. Yep. And then you've got like the stoic stalwart like leader character who's just like, I'll sacrifice myself for everything sort of idea. Nice. And it's good. They flipped a few of those tropes too during it, and that was was really fun, and I liked that. It kept me guessing. If for something like that, it's not predictable.
It's only 17 minutes long too.
Yeah,
it's like so good,
and it's so good. I love it. And in conclude, my closing thoughts on the whole show, not to end anyone else's thoughts, are basically that the Love, Death, and Robots gives me everything I didn't know that I wanted. And like it literally every episode, I'm just like, I want a whole movie of this.
Yeah,
can you
please make more?
Keep rocking this show. The first episode had one of the greatest twists ever in it. And like twist after twist after, and I love shit like that.
It's been approved for a second season, so there will be a second season.
God.
So another anthology.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah, another
I just
anthology.
Pissed my pants right now.
They're gonna get some of the same people, and then they're gonna get new people, nice. and it might be a little bit more episodes. So maybe like 25 to 30 episodes. Yeah, it's gonna be legit.
I'm going Macaulay Culkin and like.
Right. The full face like.
So, does anybody else have any final thoughts about?
I have to mention the episode called Zima Blue.
Oh yes.
Because of how like
I feel like Andy Tarkovsky did that episode, but it's not.
It's exactly in his art style. Like that's like almost exactly
like it was a Samurai Jack episode in a way, but it didn't need Samurai Jack at all.
No.
But I love that there was this artist who evolved his art, and himself. And when he finally went to the final phase, and art, it's like Andy Warhol of art.
We talked about Andy Warhol on this podcast.
Or Basquiat, like those artists, where they kind of like meet the final like frontier of their art, pretty much.
Man.
And they
the
go
way he
back
gets
to
there
the beginning.
Is great. So like basically, you start this story, and it gives you the impression that you're meeting this artist who is trying to find like the meaning behind his art, behind why he enjoys doing it, and like his sort of quest for figuring out his existentialism. And he keeps going, he's trying to figure it out, he keeps modifying his body. He modifies his body so much that he can go into like extreme harsh conditions without a suit. So he goes and like explores the cosmos and starts making this blue that he starts including into his
keeps
painting.
Modifying his body too.
He keeps making it bigger and bigger until eventually he just starts making these huge panels of this Zima blue. And then you find out towards the end of it, he explains to a reporter that's with him that he used to be, he's an AI, he's a robot.
He's a cleaner robot.
He was originally a pool cleaner robot that was invented by a young girl, and then he kept getting upgrades, so his AI got more advanced, and so he wanted to paint and learn the existence of life. And then his final piece, he basically unassembles himself and turns himself back into that robot that cleans the pool, and he just stays forever in that pool cleaning it. And he found some solace in the simplicity of cleaning a pool. That was like what he had been looking for the whole time. So like, I don't know, 17 minutes of them condensing like that existential crisis into that single episode. I think it's even
shorter than that. It's like maybe like an 8-minute episode.
Yeah,
like
it was so good.
Yeah, it's a fantastic. I love that.
But I think you need to look at the simplicity of art.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
And just like the art world on how people view it. Like people will take like someone accidentally dropped their pair of glasses, and people think,
love that one.
Yeah, and or you take the cross of Jesus Christ in a piss jar, pretty much. Just like examples of just like what is art and what is trash to people.
Right.
And or just like people have this view of art, but I think it's always a personal view, and then there's the world view of art, pretty much.
I think for this specific one, the reason why I liked it so much is because the simplicity that he ends up at is really appealing for me for an aesthetic purpose. So whenever I want to make art, I do like simple and minimalistic things. And so that I feel like if I was ever to go on some sort of art journey where I was trying to figure out what art I wanted to make, it would end up in some place like that, where the more simpler it is, the better it was for me, because it's so like pure in its intention. And so I think that was sort of the thing he was getting at too at the end, where the Zima Blue is literally named after the little tile that was in the pool that he originally was in.
That was the color palette.
Yeah, that was the color that was in there. And it was the first thing he saw. So it was the thing that he put into everything. And then it was the last thing he saw.
Oh my God, that makes it, that's so much cooler now.
Yeah.
Like it makes it like, I thought I liked the episode already, but then I just like totally passed over the fact that the color was the first thing that he saw, and that's why it was all of his art pieces. Why he made it blue, and then it was Zima Blue.
And then it consumed all of his art, and then it was the last thing he wanted to see, and then he just downgraded himself to a simple life of cleaning a pool, where he even says that he can experience the joy of a job well done. Is the quote from the episode. I was like, shit.
Whereas before he would just create forever.
Yeah, and I was like, this is such a good. And he's gonna stay in that pool forever on that little island. Like that's what he paid for.
That's so cool.
So I was like, legit. That's so much to pack into a tiny little short story. Like that person was thinking big when they made that episode, and I had to.
I think that's what makes it works too, because don't have to stretch that taffy so much.
No, it's a good point. Exactly what you were talking about earlier, where they had a theme and they stuck with it, and they didn't have to go too far into it.
I think the quote "brevity is the soul of wit" applies here.
That's
you
such
know,
a good quote. I like that.
Definitely just being simplistic and to the point. Honestly, is like one of even like me when I was writing music and stuff and like working with people, it was very like going to simplistic ideas were always the norm. You start off with a simple drum beat, and then you put over a simple riff over that, and then you do like a simple bass line over that, and then you start from like a foundation and just simple.
Are these windows still open?
I think so.
That one over there is.
Whoops. Well, before I let you guys go, I did have final questions. Do you have final thoughts before we go?
I still had to talk about a couple of my...
Oh, shoot. I'm so sorry.
Oh, Eddie.
It's okay.
Go ahead.
Rude.
Tell us about the ones you wanted to mention.
Well, I liked all of it, but just the ones I wanted to talk about before we kind of like bookend this whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
The Witness was a good episode, I felt, because it was kind of like a Twilight Zone episode to me.
Yeah, it's like a murder mystery kind of thing.
Yeah, but it was also interesting because there was also I know the animation style to Spider-Verse is a little different from this episode.
It's very close, though.
Yeah, it is. But it also feels like it's like a student film almost, or like a very European style sense of filmmaking. And
it looks like Borderlands.
Like
the Borderlands artwork. That's what The Witness reminds me of.
Shading.
Yep, cell shaded. Yep.
Yeah, so that was one of my favorites because it was very just like this very cyclical kind of like it was going full circle. Like,
well, you find out right that like they murdered each other and it just keeps happening.
Yeah, it won't stop. It will keep going
they keep
no matter what.
Witnessing each other.
And then there's when the yogurt took over.
I fucking love that one.
Oh, wait a minute.
The sentient yogurt.
Yes. Oh, yes. All right. Preach.
Maurice LaMarche, who narrates, who's the voice of Brain and Pink in the Brain.
Yep.
And
yeah, that's why you knew his voice. It's like so familiar.
He's also Calculon in Futurama.
Yes.
So, but anyways, when the yogurt took over, it's the sentient yogurt pretty much. It's like your plain bowl of vanilla yogurt. And it's kind of reminded me of the movie The Stuff. Did anybody watch The Stuff?
I did not.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
It's like 2 movies you mentioned we haven't seen.
Okay, so this was a movie during the 80s where it was about consumerism and consumption and how it was just piling up and becoming so much for us.
Yeah.
It's also like a blob movie, pretty much.
Okay.
So that's a movie I would recommend us watching sometime just to talk about is The Stuff.
Okay.
And that was like but what I liked about Love, Death, and Robots, I kind of prefer Love, Death, and Robots over Black Mirror.
Okay. Why is that exactly?
Because they have short, straight, and to the point stories.
Yeah.
They kind of have more range on what to work with. Like they can get experimental. That's why I always liked animation.
For sure.
Animation always felt like experimental, like art form to me.
I would say watch the rest of Black Mirror, and then I'll ask you the same question.
Yeah.
And we'll see how you feel about it then, because there's a lot of variety in Black Mirror.
Yeah, for sure.
But I get what you're saying with pushing the limits on animation.
But animation, I've always been big into animation, and it was nice to get away from these whole... What I've noticed from current animation is we either go very like anime, like the very schoolgirl style, or very weeaboo style of animation, or the very cutesy Disney style, big eyes.
Yeah, Disney is sort of like trademarked the way that their stuff looks. Like there's just no...
Even Pixar has kind of fallen into that.
Yeah, exactly.
And I always felt like Pixar was going to go a little bit different direction than what...
I will say though, go ahead, Mitch.
I always wonder why didn't Overwatch ever catch like a lawsuit from Pixar? Because their straight up art style on that game on Overwatch looks straight up like it was out of a Pixar movie.
Like Incredibles, maybe.
Yeah, like definitely
like Brad Bird style. I don't think you can entirely.
Yeah, you can't sue someone.
Yeah, no, I know that you can't, but I'm just like, but considering who Disney is, like
they would, right? If anyone's going to sue you over imaging rights,
if they could, they would.
But artists in any industry will copy each other.
For sure.
Like they'll have this similar sensibility or similar like style in a way. But in the Love, Death, and Robots, it's heavy metal. It's a very like heavy metal magazine.
Yeah, it's got a certain aesthetic.
It's
that
a
they,
European,
had throughout the whole
very
thing.
style, in a way, and it's got different sensibilities, I feel.
I will say that they must have told all of them to use similar color palettes. I don't think there's an episode that stands out as uniquely colored, besides maybe the Witness one, where they're in the city, and they have so many colors in that variation. But other than that, they all use sort of the same dark color palettes, so they were trying to keep like a theme going throughout all of the anthology. So, like, in a way, like you mentioned before with the variety, it is a true anthology of science, of sci-fi, of horror, of anything else that they could include.
Action.
Yeah, action. Just so many things that they packed into one. Whereas,
which I'm very curious what they'll do next for...
Yeah, I wonder if they'll shift that. Maybe they'll change it into something different. But that'll be cool.
I think it'll be the similar... It's going to be... David Fincher was going to do, like, a heavy metal movie.
Yeah.
With like James Cameron and Tenacious D and
what?
Robert Rodriguez.
Was or is?
Is it like production hell?
Like
are they
what
not
is it
doing
right now? Like
production hell, I would say.
Fuck yeah.
Sucks. But that'd be so amazing if they did something like that.
Oh, it'll get off the ground. Just wait. Give it some time.
Be patient,
dude. Here's the funny thing. Currently, we have a bunch of old fucks that are basically running things at the moment.
They're about to...
Eventually, when those people start dying off and like the creative direction of things starts getting into a new generation, people like us, art's going to start changing.
We're going to be the next people.
Art is already changing.
Yeah.
Like, I know that we talk about like underrepresentation of people, but there's a lot of it going on at the moment. And it's because there's a bolstering voice for it. And there's like the public wants it. The public wants that to happen. And so it is happening slowly but surely. but I don't know. That's that. I don't know. Just a fun observation of mine is that.
Well, as people who are creating and writing and creating that content, we're going to be right in the middle of a shift change.
Oh yeah.
So it's going to be really cool to be a part of that, and so much so that it'll like this is one of those moments I think is going to get mentioned really heavily for like you doing film analysis and stuff. However many years later, they're going to mention a moment like this where there's like a huge shift. Things ending, like you had mentioned, like huge stories that are ending, and now there's like this void that needs to be filled with indie stories. And so like this could be like within the next 10 years, we're gonna get another Star Wars, we're getting another Lord of the Rings. Like someone's gonna make something that's epic, and it's gonna be like really popular. You just got to figure out who it is. You were gonna say?
Well, you know that thing where you like lose your train of thought, you had a thought, and then you were just like, all right, well, I'm letting John.
I call it a brain fart,
and then just gone. I think that Love, Death, and Robots and its diversity and variance and how it handles a lot of different subjects and a lot of different themes and a lot of different like cinematic like movements and whatnot and types of film is in a way kind of a renaissance of its own, and I feel like it was just an inspiration in its own. So I think that we're going to have tons of artwork inspired by stuff like this, like Netflix and streaming services that are funding their own things.
Man, Netflix has been doing that for so long.
Here's something. Here's fucking crazy. I just got an email from SoundCloud or from what's the other one that like
Spotify?
Music? Not Spotify. No, it's another one kind of like that though. SoundCloud, but yeah, I think it's SoundCloud. Anyway, but SoundCloud sent me an email saying they're opening up a record store in Oakland, and so they're gonna sell record like SoundCloud records out of it. So like imagine record stores dying and then their streaming services picking up like the heft of all of that and then funding, and then record stores come back because they start funding them because people still want the physical copies of things. Well,
they definitely tapped into the people who are still buying vinyl. And so, like, it makes sense that they would be like, "Oh, this is gonna make us a lot of money."
Yeah, no.
Why not keep it alive?
I know it's not really too related to horror, but it's just like there's stuff going on in like the media industry right now where I think we're gonna see a resurgence of like physical formats a little bit.
Hell yeah.
Because people still want them. People still like having their little collection of things. Like if we look around if I look around at my house, and I'm sure Eddie's and definitely John's, because right now I can look at it. You can see how people love having physical things to display, like the shit that they like. And people like having a big music fans, big fucking fat.
I call this feng shui.
Yeah, exactly. In a way, and like big stack of all their CDs that they've collected. You know, some of them are signed. They found this one at a record store over here that was used, and they all have a story behind them. And the same for like DVDs and stuff like that. People have a whole collection of them, and it's like
so in a way, the streaming services kind of depersonalize a lot of things, but by having the vinyl and the records, they are going to personalize their own brand.
Yeah, they can personalize their own brand, exactly. Damn. If they can start handling it that way. And it's like it's nuts. It's crazy. I can't imagine like if Spotify is able to do deals with artists where they start putting up like their CDs in their stores and stuff. Oh, holy shit.
But like a much cheaper version of that.
Yeah,
you don't have to like pay out however much to just have it record it.
Crazy ass tangent, but it's just like same thing is happening with Netflix now. Like they're sponsoring their own movies now. Like I just watched a movie that was made by Netflix. Yeah. It's just made by it.
Well, that's how these people are getting their breaks. They're meeting people who are Netflix representatives, and they're like, "Yo, can you show this to somebody?" And that's how they get discovered. They show, and they're like, "Yeah, we'll make a deal," and they put it up on Netflix.
And people fucking have Netflix has the income to throw at it, and the more ideas, the more new shit they come out with, potentially going to draw in more crowds. I'm not sure.
Well, at the moment, they're trying to compete with the Disney Fox merging, which is going to create its own streaming service. Oh god! And then I think Disney Amazon Plus has one. What's that?
Disney Plus.
Yeah, they're about to pull like everything Disney owned and put it onto that streaming service.
There's Amazon Prime and stuff.
Yeah, and then there's the Amazon Prime one.
Plus, there's I don't know if like other like movie studios are going to do their own like streaming.
I don't think they can compete against such a large corporation like Disney, so they may not, or they might make deals with them and be like, we'll put our stuff on there.
Yeah, if Disney pulls their stuff off of Netflix, there's still a ton of other stuff that might be happening.
Oh yeah, I don't go to Netflix for Disney.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't. Yeah, exactly. I mean, I might be interested in their streaming service to rewatch some old fucking movies I haven't seen in forever. It sounds like fun. Whatever.
I was kind of bummed that they took the Marvel Knights series off of Netflix, though.
Oh,
what's that one?
Daredevil, Luke Cage, Punisher, Defenders, Jessica Jones.
Oh, they did, huh?
Yeah. I think because when they were doing the whole Fox Disney merger, or Disney just like taking all these Marvel characters.
Shit, that's right. I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, because that's what I was thinking. That's why they were probably canceling those shows, because they want those characters in the sandbox of the MCU in a way.
Dang.
But I always felt like they were already connected in a way. They were just like loosely connecting it. And I was really into some of those shows. And they're ending Jessica Jones for a 3rd season.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
I couldn't get into Jessica Jones for some reason.
How come?
I think I had gotten too used to all the action in the other ones that like her internal personal story was not too riveting for me. And then having the occasional
It's a noir story.
Yeah, it very much is a noir story. Maybe if I watched it in a different
season
mindset.
is not that strong as the first one. But I always liked Daredevil because he was a different kind of Batman.
I loved Daredevil up until the very end. And then I was like, wow, I didn't like the last season.
What, 3rd season?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Well, I'm going to spoil it for people who haven't fucking seen it. But basically, he has the chance to kill
Kingpin,
and he doesn't.
Well,
and
that's very Batman of him.
And yeah, I'm like, this is Batman shit. Like, you've been beating up people this whole time.
Matt Murdock has always had this moral conundrum with himself.
Right.
He's Catholic, he's a lawyer, and then he's a vigilante.
Yeah, exactly.
And there's this one man who's just standing.
Oh, yeah, don't get me wrong. It's exactly how his story should have went. I was just like, come on, dude. This guy's been tormenting me for how long? So,
but Vincent D'Onofrio's so good.
That's why I like The Punisher. Punisher
is just easy.
The Punisher is up there on one of my favorites because he exacts all of his revenge. And I was like, yes, I am bloodthirsty for these movies. Please show me more. That's exactly why I enjoyed it.
You know what you're getting with The Punisher.
Yeah, exactly. So
I like how he was more introduced in Daredevil season 2 than Spider-Man.
Fuck.
I just want to talk about how awesome Luke Cage was.
Yes, that was next on my list of being like, it was fucking amazing.
I think my favorite part, I remember more so the first season than the second.
Yeah.
But my favorite part of the first one is where he rips off the car door and walks through the building to Wu-Tang's Bring the Ruckus.
Bring the motherfucking Ruckus.
It was so good, dude. Oh my god. I freaked out. I was like, are you kidding me? He's doing this shit right now. Yes. Oh yes. Oh my god.
Dude, they had so many good musical guests on that show. They had fucking
Method
Raphael Sadiq on there.
Hell yeah, dude.
In the club singing. Like, what the hell?
Super awesome.
Judea. My problem with season 2 of Luke Cage, though, is just it's a contrast to the whole Luke Cage character.
Yeah, it was really bad. They also put Jamaicans as like the villains, and like I don't know why you would make a move like that, just to like say all Jamaicans are evil. Like it was just a really bad move for them. Like don't do that, especially for like.
Which season was that?
Second season of Luke Cage.
Second season. It was how they did that.
The main bad guy is
Bushmaster.
Jamaican. Yeah, its fucking name is Bushmaster. Like it's so weird.
And he's got Bushmaster rum, which is like the rarest rum that's ever made because there's only very little of it produced.
It was just I don't know if like they just had weird writers, if they were like not seeing a bit of racism.
There's not many like Luke Cage comics out there.
That's fair.
So you can only like handpick a few.
But that first season, man, they hit it exactly on the head with how good that first season was.
Rocked it so hard. I love the origin story and then the whole everything about it was great. And that's really the only one I watched. I didn't watch the second season.
I watched the first one because of the main character, because I knew about him. But then I also watched it because I like Rosario Dawson, and been like I've had a crush on her for I don't know how long.
There you go. That's
her
cool.
And Sigourney Weaver, like both of them. I'm just like they're so badass.
Yeah, you're just like, oh. It's like that. Did I send you guys that orc GF? Yes, I did. I did send you guys
the giant orc.
It's just like that. Yeah, and just like
it's great.
I said Brienne of Tarth and Jaime Lannister.
Yes.
Oh my god. Totally. Yes. Oh jeez.
I wonder how much taller she is than him in real life.
Probably not too much taller. I don't actually think she is that tall.
Because I know that the way they shot it, he didn't look that much shorter than her. But I'm pretty sure she's way taller.
He's actually.
Is he a big dude? He might be tall.
He might be, but he's like a little. I think he's a short Danish guy, dude. I think he's like 5'5" or some nonsense like that. I think, but maybe. But okay. I don't actually know though. I don't have my phone on me to look this shit up. I feel like what were you gonna say, Eddie? You have something? You've been enlightening us this evening.
Right.
I'm glad I can enlighten my friends.
Quite enlightened. Your bravado with movie knowledge is stunning.
You know a lot of names.
You fucking just like took both of us and like threw us on the ground like I'll show you some knowledge. And, like not even intentionally, I don't think, just unintentionally let us have it, and we like woo.
I just Ty Lopez it.
Mitch
just
and I are
like
both
show you
bad
my
with
Ferrari and Lamborghini and just show my bookshelf of knowledge.
There you go. Yeah.
No, but God, what was I gonna say?
Encyclopedic
I'm
knowledge.
sorry if I
blame my autism, I guess. I'm autistic.
Oh no.
Oh no! Watch out, guys.
I do have one question.
Whoa.
Which can kind of leave some afterthoughts for how you're feeling about both of the series.
Yes.
They both involve stories that involve you going into some sort of virtual world, and you can be super aware of it or you're not aware of it. Would you guys willingly go into a virtual world like that?
Yes.
Would you stay in that world? Kind of like the Matrix, you know?
I would need a break.
Yeah.
I would need to be able to leave, yeah.
Yeah, so you want to leave?
Yeah, as I feel like virtual world is a luxury.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not like a substitute of life.
It can be, though. Well, like, what if someone was, like, they're, like, paralyzed?
Fair enough.
And, like, that's the only way they can kind of live out the rest of their existence.
I'm worried about my day smell, though.
I mean, that's true. Honestly, though, it's like whether or not you would want to transcend that existence. Like, I wouldn't mind being uploaded to a computer instead of dying. I'm cool with that.
Living forever as a computer program? That sounds like dopeness if my physical body's going to die. That sounds
I
fun.
get to hang out like
Transcend.
on
a cloud. I just party all the time. And
well,
I can just
like I
do
can
as
hook
much...
up to other shit or like get into like an android body or something. Like,
I would just live a crazy ass life.
Yeah,
If I
exactly.
would just live it. It would just be like a little it would just be a cloud heaven.
Yeah.
And then when it gets deleted, the world just goes black, and then
My options.
Yeah.
Someone just runs a magnet over your universe.
Done.
Gone.
My options are either just the Max Headroom's way or Ghost in the Shell.
Okay. Interesting.
You take your consciousness into a computer and you build another sort of like entity or AI, which I felt like what Transcendent, that Johnny Depp movie, was doing a little bit of.
Yeah. It wasn't like him anymore. If that makes sense. Like,
yeah,
he didn't transfer from one place to another. It was just like a copy of his like personality and stuff, and then it kind of.
But he was able to replicate his physical body.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie,
which is super weird.
Yeah, I think the science of that movie is kind of dumb in my opinion.
It was pretty loose. Like, it didn't really fit into like what was happening. So I agree. I was like kind of iffy about that movie, but yeah, I mean, I think the only way that doesn't in the Ghost in the Shell, doesn't she have like her brain in something?
Her consciousness, pretty much. Like, you can take your consciousness and put it into another shell, which is another like avatar body, pretty much. And in the comic books, it kind of is a little different because it's not the major Kusanagi. There's, I'm trying to think. Damn, this is where both different mediums kind of different from each other.
Yeah.
You know, like there was a volume where it was all virtual reality, pretty much.
Okay.
And her body was different from how it was in the beginning of the first novel.
Right.
But she was still a female cyborg. But.
Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, thank you both for coming back for another episode. I love talking about Love, Death, and Robots and Black Mirror because I've seen every episode of both series. So I'm stoked on talking about it.
Anything else we're watching besides those?
Besides like those anthologies?
Yeah, just like I think last time we talked about stuff that we were watching.
Oh, gotcha.
Or reading or consuming.
Let's see. There is a show on Netflix which is not horror related, but it is an international show. It's a German show called Dogs of Berlin on Netflix. Definitely worth it. It's about a police investigator who is also like a dirty cop trying to figure out how to pay back debts while also having bad relations with gangs and being a police detective.
I do have a recommendation. It's on Netflix also, and it's a pretty fucked movie, and I absolutely think that we need to talk about it at some point on here, and it's called The Perfection.
You talked about this.
I talked about it, and we need to watch that shit and talk about it, because it's fucked. And it's fucked, but it's great.
Okay.
All right.
What about you, Eddie?
Swamp Thing.
Swamp Thing. Oh, that's right. We put up.
Wait, did that come out yet?
Yeah.
What is it like a full movie or is it a?
It's
series?
a series.
Yeah.
What's it on?
DC All Access.
Oh, that's right, man. It's like you want to
We're gonna talk after this podcast. We're gonna have a conversation.
I'm down.
We'll maybe trade some passwords, account login info. You know, my sub for yours.
Okay, we're gonna.
Oh, don't you have the horror one?
What's up?
You have a subscription to something.
I used to have a subscription.
Oh, okay.
Used to. But anyway, those are my final thoughts on things.
Well,
it's been great being on your podcast tonight, John.
Hell yeah. And I also want to remind everyone we're super easy to find. We're on all the streaming services, so iTunes, Spotify, Google Play Music, as well as soon to be on YouTube. I'm going to upload up to the current episode, which is going to be 13 for this one. And then we are also on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, which I am updating. I am updating Instagram and Facebook with a recommended movie of the day during the week. Specifically horror films. I'm looking to probably do it for movies outside of horror, so if you're interested in other good movies. So I've been doing that, uploading the covers as well as the names and stuff like that. But that's pretty much it. Thank you guys for coming by to talk to me again.
Anytime.
Hope everyone has a good night.
Stay spooky.